I just want to go back to what does being in process mean to you, both in your craft and personal life? Now, we have like a few questions, so we don't have to spend too much time on this question. And if you guys don't feel comfortable answering this question, that's okay too. We can move on. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll try to keep my response to 2 minutes. I think that's fair. So what does it mean to be in process, both in my practice and my life? Whew. I would say as of lately, just the word process in general is discipline. And when we think about discipline, the way I associate it, being from the South, is you better do as you told or you're going to get a whooping. That's just how the South works. But now that I'm an adult, like somebody left me in charge and said I'm an adult now. Crazy work.
Crazy.
I've had to relearn what words mean, and discipline is one of those words that I've been pondering on for the last 2 to 3 weeks, like with no intention on being here. And discipline to me is process. And in process, you need time to have discipline. And what I'm really saying is that we cannot microwave the opportunities that we are after. It takes time. I think Larry said it as he was explaining process. Like when you plant the seed, it does not happen in 6 months. And you don't want that to happen in 6 months. You don't want to put a whole chicken in a microwave and nobody wants to eat that. Like,
no.
I don't want to eat that.
I like how you put that one. Yeah.
I've had to slow down because I feel like in the age of technology, in the age of social media, all of it, and it's beautiful. I love tech. But we feel like we should have things quickly. Mm-hmm. But we have to do the work. And so for me, being in Atlanta, I moved to Atlanta 4 years ago with a plan. I was like, I'm going there. I'm going to do this celebrity photography thing, and I'm going to shoot for Nike, and I'm going to shoot for, all of these people. But then you get to the place. Discipline and process also needs space, to fill. It does not happen right away, but that does not mean, like, come down on yourself. It means to like continue to work at that thing and don't compare yourself. It's something that I've learned about like being in process. And last thing, as a creative of color, we neglect processes.
Oh, please talk about it, please.
And I've had a mentor, so I want to encourage folks to find other disciplined people in their discipline. Like when I say the second discipline, whatever it is that you're practicing, find somebody who has done it well and that is willing to like lead you along the way. Also in process, sometimes you just got to shut up. You got to shut up and do the work and listen to folks and don't like be combative. Like really take that moment to learn and learn again and learn again. Because as you move up, level up, it's going to be a whole new world of challenges. And sometimes you just got to be still. And I've learned to really be still. That's the only way I could have arrived here today to be with y'all. So that's how I feel about that.
Let me ask you something.
Uh-oh. Follow up.
What's some friction that you've experienced recently? What's a new help me out. Like what challenge? Yeah, I guess so. What's a new challenge that you faced recently
as I've been in process?
As you've been in process.
The finance thing.
What about finance?
I can make $20,000 to $50,000 for a couple of days in the commercial world, and if I don't manage it well, I'm like, how I'm gonna pay my car note, how I'm gonna pay my rent this month. But also on the other side of it, sometimes the work just does not come. And it's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's just somebody else may have seniority over you. It just may be a time where God, universe, Allah may be sitting you down to receive something new that you're supposed to be doing, or sitting you down to like focus deeper on your craft. So lately I've literally had to just sit and make things work with what I've had versus saying, dang, I wish I had more money. Like, I've really had to like tap into gratitude to like get through some of the hardest times. Like, I'm gonna end here. Last November, I got the opportunity to go to Art Basel in Miami for the first time. I literally had a man say, I have a restaurant on South Beach, get your ass here. And I'm like, I don't have, like, what? How am I gonna get my work there? What? I don't have money for this. And before he hung up the phone with me, he said, everybody going through something. You got to figure it out. I'm like, Peter Thomas, you are a celebrity on The Real Housewives. You got, so I figured it out. And, I had a dedicated group of people. Yeah. And people just want to see you get through. And people will give you money if you open your mouth and ask. Even when it's the hardest. People will give you things. They will give you their energy. So that's just a testimony to say whatever it is that like y'all are seeking or feel like y'all don't have enough of, it's to your right, it's to your left, your front and your back. And it's coming from up there because I do believe it's open heaven even when we can't see it. But yeah, the biggest thing is like my identity with money and not equating how much money I have to who I am and my success. Yeah.
How about you, Ryan? What's it like? What does it mean to be in process for you creatively and your personal?
Yeah. First of all, I think it's really good to be aware that we're all in process because it is almost like a wusa, a sign of relief to realize that you are in process, and it allows us to have so much forgiveness. It allows us to forgive ourselves for any mistakes that we've made in our creative process and our life process, because we're like seeds that flower, and I feel like we're always flowering, we're always growing, And process for me quite literally means just experiencing life and just going with the flow in life and creativity.
I told y'all she was free-spirited. I told you.
Yeah, but just quite literally just being there and letting life happen to you, for you, is being in process. And I think that I didn't understand what being in process was until Tay brought up the idea of this panel. And it gave me so much relief because I was very sad a couple weeks ago about my progression and what I wanted to do. But when the words in process came up, it reminded me that I will always be in process. I will always be growing. I will always be, so, yeah.
What's up, Daniel?
I mean, I just resonate a lot with what Sydney and Rye have been, kind of speaking to. I think when it comes to like all the layers in the onion, like I just want to say like the fact that I'm up here or we're all up here doesn't mean that the struggles that we're going through doesn't mean that you're not going through something too. It's like I'm just holding the cup right now, and the space for that conversation is, within the confines of this room, but also privately that you guys like have. Because when the phrase and process kind of like comes up for me, discipline comes up, transition comes up. I'm in a mode where I feel like I'm lacking discipline, and like it's a bumpy road right now for myself. And even from the outside, it's like you can have all the perception in the world, and people don't really see that, and they don't really know that until you tell them. But there's a community out there in any form that can relate to any kind of struggle and any kind of joy. They kind of go hand in hand. And I think the aspect of, this quote unquote path, or, what we're going through and how we get there, the time it takes, the quality of ourselves is really equal to time, like outside of like that capitalist mindset, you know. It's like we can give so much, and I think sometimes we, you know, give in a way that equates to money, and that kind of taints the quality of what you're giving. Because I'm coming to the realization that, like, you know, my community isn't my market. You know, I think for myself, I'm trying to grow in a space where, like, I know my community is there to uplift me and grow with me and, you know, support me. But for myself, it's like I know I need to extend outside of that, or else I taint my community and what I see in that kind of mindset, and inwardly, because, you know, business is personal for me. You know, it's everything that I do. I got to support myself. I got to, you know, take my mom to Spain, you know, next year as a goal. You know, like, I want that, but it's hard. And I think, you know, I just relate a lot to everyone here. You know, I think it's kind of, you know, without people around you, you can't really do what you want to do. So, yeah, speak your mind and things will hopefully happen. But it's like, I know I'll be okay, but the feeling and the act, like the feeling and the moment don't like match, you know, so.
What makes it so hard? And, you know, I want to have the opportunity for people to, you guys to like chime in on this, is when you find yourself in this loophole of like local community opportunities, right? We all do, right? Because it's a little bit easier when you know somebody and then you get in on something and then it kind of feels like this orbit that is happening, right? We find ourselves like in this orbit and we have these like bigger goals for ourselves, right? But sometimes like we're like, okay, we're doing it. We're creating, we're collaborating, we're, you know, we're doing what we love. But like, what makes it so hard to like break the seal out of this orbit? You know, what are some challenges that come up for you when you think about like what's next in terms of your growth or opportunity, you know?
I mean, it's doing a panel like this, you know, for myself, at least, you know, this is my like next step, you know, to speak about it in ways that I can do so in like safely, but also with friends that also support me and I support them. You know, like I worked with Rye, I worked with Larry. I will work with you at some point, you know, and like, I think it's the capacity of that, you know, communal connection. You know, because when we're talking about like what Larry's talking about, the point A to point B, you know, whatever happens in that like line, like that is such a subjective moment, you know, like whatever gets you to that like end goal, amazing, you know, so that's really what's important.
Yeah. Any last words? Y'all? We gonna move on? Okay, cool. How y'all feeling? Are we doing good up here? Cool. I have so many questions on here. They're all so good too. How do you stay connected to the joy of the creative process when you're faced with external pressures or deadlines? And I could go first. I actually didn't even answer the other one. For me, I think that what's worked best in my world is giving myself time as much as possible, but really every day to be to myself, right? Just like half of y'all kind of know that I wake up really early. Like that's a thing, right? But it's really because I'm selfish. It's really because I make use of my time in all my days when I feel that I can really, you know, complete a full day how I expect it to, right? Because I say I want to wake up early, I want to do these things, and I have work to do. But on a good day, you know, I take like 4 hours of the morning to myself, you know, and that's doing whatever the fuck I want to do. That's me staring at the window. That's me drinking some tea. That's me going to the gym. That's me like sending like hella memos to Bree, right? Like, you know, I send so many memos. It's crazy. Yeah, and Sydney. And Dennis. Hell, he's like me too, huh? But no, that's for me to like connect in a way that is not related to work. That's me saying, you know, I commit 8 hours a day, maybe more, to work stuff, right? School, the agency, building this and thinking of ways to like continue this, my brain is always going, is what I'm saying, right? And I feel like that's a common thing with artists, especially if you have many things going on at once, right? So yeah, I'm curious, how and which ways, and this is kind of tied to like self-care maybe, or self-love, in the sense of what do you do to bring that joy back into your work? And again, for me, it's just making sure I'm pouring back into myself.
I think for me, I would say I'm in a season of working in my discipline. And when I'm saying discipline right now is my artistic practice, to the point to where I'm doing it so much, even when I'm sick of it, finding the joy in it. Because I'm in a season now where like, I just have to do it in order to get to the next level. But when I think about self-care and I think about taking care of me and improving myself, hiking feels really good. This morning, like getting my spiritual word at Fellowship Chicago. And then after that, going to yoga. And I did not want to do it. It literally felt impossible to take care of myself. But I was like, you know what? Just because I'm in a different city state, I got to do it. And like, I think a lot of the time as creatives, we feel like we're these machines for other people. But like, we can't be a machine for anybody else if we're not taking care of our own car. So just slowing down to like do it.
Why is it that, when we set something to do for ourselves that's positive, why does it feel so hard? Like, what's that about? When we say, I want to read a book, or I don't know, whatever it is that y'all say y'all want to do for yourself, and then it comes time to do it, and it's like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I think for me, so for background reference, I grew up in a household. My mom was a single mom, and I grew up watching her work. I know a little violin. No, it was an amazing experience, but she works very hard, and I model after that. And so when I have these moments of rest, like an hour, sometimes subconsciously I think I should be doing something. And I think that's a societal side effect of capitalism and living in this world. I think it comes for me, from a place of always needing to do something. Yeah. And talking about self-love and self-care, for the past few weeks, I've been meditating on what that means for me and giving those things definitions. Because I think both self-care and self-love, it can mean so many damn different things to everyone. So my definition for me of loving myself in my life, in my craft, is literally just nurturing myself, which means just treating myself as if I'm a child when I make a mistake, affirming myself if I did not meet a deadline that I was supposed to meet, instead of being like, you suck, you're terrible, you're not good enough, blah, blah, blah. I quite literally tell myself, like, look, babe, you're okay. It's going to be fine. You messed up, and that is, we mess up, and just like putting a bandage on myself, kissing myself on the cheek. Now, self-care, I think it does not mean the same as self-love, because I think that self-care is doing anything that recharges you. In some ways, I get recharged when I'm like working really hard, sporadic, like Tasmanian devil mode, is quite literally touching grass and being in the sun, looking at the sun, feeling the sun rays. That feels like self-care. Partying. I love to party. I go out a lot, and I love techno. Smart bar girly here. Yeah, and I feel recharged after going out. I feel more alive after. And I think, okay, also with self-care, I feel like I'm skipping over questions.
No, you're not.
Okay.
No, we rocking, we rolling.
But also, like, with self-care, I feel like rest comes up a lot. Like, how do we rest? And I've been thinking about that a lot, too. Resting when everything is chaotic. And I find rest So some people nap a lot. I don't like to nap because I feel bad after. Like I'm yeah. Is there science to it?
There is a science to it. Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a second. Yeah.
One cycle. But yeah. More on that later. But yeah. But yeah, that's all for now.
One more thing, Larry. So those things that you were talking about, does that bring joy back into your work for you?
Yeah.
Know? Okay.
It
I
does.
mean, that's obvious, but I just wanted to make sure okay.
Well, yeah, I think partying brings joy back into my work because that experience of being out, partying, being around people, being around community inspires my work completely. It is exactly why I create. The connecting to the feeling of being alive is being in the sun, being with people, dancing with people, eating, and that all inspires my work. So I feel like it is necessary in my process to experience all of that. But it's fun because it also is my way of self-caring. So, yeah.
Thank you.
I think jumping on the idea of like sometimes when you sit down and you do nothing, you feel bad. It happens to me all the time. I think like there is this feeling of like wanting to always be in motion. And now what I do is I try to take more time to do stuff that when I do them, I say, oh shit, I don't often do this. And this was pretty cool. I should do this more. It's like, for example, earlier before this talk, I just walk all around the neighborhood and walk into all of those stores and looking at them and touching objects and seeing the way they're done and going to pop-ups and stuff. I'm like, oh, actually, this is super cool. I should do this more. And so all of those new experiences that make me want to do them again, I try to embrace them to counterbalance with the fact of like sitting down and feeling bad about it because it's a real thing for me. The way I practice self-care and self-love, actually, those two words are not even much part of my personal dictionary because I don't even think about them much. I just keep going. And self-care for me is like sometimes like, skin glowing, nail polish, smiling good, make sure I look good and take care of myself, going to run sometimes twice a week. I go play soccer every Sunday in Melrose Park. And I like it. I like that moment of the week a lot because it's just the Sunday. So I'm super excited for it. And when I get there on the beach, having fun with friends, I'm just like, it's here and now. Be present, be there, be here. And I just enjoy it. And just like we shoot the ball, we lose, we yell at each other. And at the end, we hug each other. I think this is an amazing moment. And it also teaches me about life sometime. And the self-love thing is more on the side of my mom, which pushes me a lot on that. It's like, hey, you should take care of yourself. You should do this. You should do that. And I hear it and I try to apply as much as I can. But it's something that I still have to get better at. I'm not it's in progress. It's going. It's a work in progress. I'm not. It's not perfect for me yet. Yeah, that was the second question. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like maybe everyone can resonate with this. I think like defining what it means to you, like what self-love and what self-care means to you is the most important thing because everyone has their ideas on TikTok, a face mask. Loving yourself is looking at yourself in the mirror and be like, I'm a bad bitch, but it can mean anything you want it to mean. Like, and I think in our society, that's one of the biggest issues because there's no real definition of what it means to love yourself. So everyone is like so confused. But yeah.
You guys have any additional words to that?
I think the only thing that I can kind of like, I feel like the thesis of that question or like what the answers have been is that, we have a lot of like influence, right? Where we're also taking in the influence of other things around us and how, we're sometimes in and out of that control of what is influencing us and who we're influencing. There's a current genocide happening in Gaza, Sudan, like Congo, Tigray, like all these like spaces that politically we're in a like election year, so it's like there are things that create a lot of like negative and just like a lot of pressure. And I think when we take the idea of self-care, self-love, it's hard. Like it is really tough, but I think making and carving out space is like needed. It's like these things affect us, and they might affect. It's like grief essentially, and that idea of grief kind of like moves in different waves, and I think you just kind of like you can't be in control, so you kind of have to like move through it, understand what you need in the moment, and then just accept it. I think it's just yeah, it's a we're here, we're doing our thing, but it's, I'm not I'm just trying to like create that space, and I think the ability for care for others, for yourself is needed. That's all.
I agree. How do you continue to develop your skills? I would say for myself, right now it's like I own so many things, like so many hats are being worn, and I'll be honest, I'll be like, well, I want to be a creative director, but everybody's a creative director. So what else can I be? Or how can I find my own lane and have my own like way of titling my expertise, if that makes sense? Because it's very unique when you do so many things at one time. Especially like running a business, or, you're a community leader in some way. To say that there's this end goal, or like Larry, you're a product designer and architect, right? But that's not to say that that's like what you are, right? So I'm saying that to say, when I think about sharpening my skills, I think about my ways of connecting with people and understanding people more on a deeper level than, hey, we can collaborate and, get this project done and that's it. But, I say this a lot too, working one-on-one with clients, and me and Dennis talk about this a lot. In the process, when someone comes to me and says, hey, I'm interested in working with you, it's more than just, meeting with this person and, listening to their goals of what they want, but me sitting with them and understanding like who this person is, and maybe I can hear something that they don't know about themselves, so that if we end up working together, I can bring this special piece of them out in the work that we end up doing together, to inspire them to, do something different with their business or their brand, or I don't know, anything, really anything to spark a light in someone. I would say that is the thing that I want to grow in understanding how to sit with someone and really be able to connect with them like deeply, so I can do my job and so that they can feel good about us being a partner in this relationship. So for you guys, I'm curious to hear, what are things that you guys do? It could be educational, it could be informal, it could be formal, ways of sharpening your skills.
To me, to sharpen my skills, it comes to the first action of putting back everything in question. Is like I have like those skills, and then I'm like, okay, I often think about this thing that I call the 10 years plan. It's just a whole thing, but it's just like I would love to be at that point, and then to get there, there's some specific things that I should know. I don't know those things yet, right? So I put myself...
Could you talk about some of those things?
For example, my friend James Langford and I, we run this creative studio named Points of Sale. And we start Points of Sale by making furniture. And then we make small furniture for the house and objects and products. And we're like, okay, where do we see this practice going in 10 years? Like, who are our people that inspires this time that we can look at them and say, okay, we love what they do. We would love to get there. So there's those agency in LA named PlayLab Inc. And we have we're really good friends with them and we love what they do. It's like, okay, we would love to be Play Like Ink in 10 years. Okay, so what do we do to get there? Okay, you mean we should do one fashion week show, we should design a retail store, and maybe do a residential house. Cool. Okay, how to get there? We have those goals on, and we put ourselves in question. Okay, we don't have those skills yet, right? So let's sharpen the skills on those specific points so we be ready for it. And the whole thing is about put yourself in question and get ready for the opportunity to come up. So when the opportunity comes, for one of our friends to design a show in Paris for the Fashion Week in 2022, we nailed it because we wanted to get there and we prepare ourselves mentally and emotionally to get it. So which means like looking at shows that have been done, reading about it, reading about scenography, how do people do at the theater, how to do set design, all of that. And when it came, we did it. And the second thing after that, we really wanted to do a retail store one day. That was our dream. Like, we manifested that thing for so long. And then the way we just put our skills in question and we sharpen those things that we need to get better at, to do that type of job. And we had the opportunity from Adriana and Hector from In Good Spirits to reach out to us, say, hey, we work in a store. We would like you guys to do it. And we did it. You know, so it's mainly about putting myself in question. And when I put myself in question, I figure out. And those are really hard exercises to do. It's just about being super honest with yourself, sitting down, like, what I don't know how to do now, and that I would love to learn and get better at. And those are like deep reflection that took some time, one hour, because it's just about you and being super, super, super humble. And okay, I don't know this thing yet. Okay, that thing, we got to get better at this in the upcoming month. And we sharpen that skill. And when the opportunity comes, we can't miss. You got to get in. It's like Steph Curry practicing the 3-point. In game, he got to make it because he practiced it, you know? So that's how I sharpen my skills through the creative process.
What are some things that you've avoided that you knew, the things that you knew would make you better, but you've avoided those things?
What do you mean? Can you explain?
I would say, I'll use an example for myself, right? Dang, there's too many of them. Well, I'm part-time at Columbia. For those of you who don't know, I'm part-time trying to do everything at once, and it's just crazy. Like, being in school is crazy as an adult. So the things that I avoid as a student, like, they tell me it's best that you study, like, increments throughout the week so that, you know, come time to, like, come to class, you're prepared, you kind of understand, and you're taking in this information every day. And I'm like, I'm not finna do that. I'm finna do the homework, get this out the way, and keep it pushing. But it's not to my benefit because I'm in school for my education. I'm not in school for an A necessarily. I'm in school because I want my degree, because I'm learning new skills. I'm preparing myself for the higher person that I want to be. So me, like, bullshitting all week intentionally, I can't say that it's not intentional. It is. It's my attitude and my ego, like, man, I'm not no kid. I'm 31 years old. I don't got time for that. Yes, I do. So I know that mentality and the fact that I'm putting it off until the last minute is not working in my benefit. If I practice taking time every day, just 30 minutes maybe, reading a chapter, kind of reviewing my notes, I know that would be to my benefit because I'll be prepared and that skill is applied throughout. It's not just school.
So what if I can reply for that, to avoid, the type of stuff we avoid is to take that opportunity that we probably come for granted. It won't gonna come from the sky. Even if you sharpen the skill, you have to go get it. So in a sense, what we do sometimes just like putting ourselves out there and tell people that we done this and we would love to do that because we did this already. So agreeing with the fact that because you know how to do this thing, it's gonna happen, we reject it. It's just like nobody gonna give you the chance just like that. You just gotta go get it. So sometimes we just go do it like this winter, for example. We wanted so much to do another retail store. So we were like, okay, all those projects that we did, right? And we never posted about them because they never happened. We're gonna post all of them and like go convince people, go to pop-ups and see like what are people in the cities that are probably gonna open a retail shop in the upcoming 6 months. We should go meet them. And we did it, but zero job. Literally zero. So we kind of get and understand the fact that you won't gonna come from the sky. We gotta go get it, like anything. So we put the laziness of not just like waiting on the side, and we go push for it after sharpening the skill and know that we can handle it.
Thank you.